Ezra Levant here. We just finished court in the Federal Court of Appeal, the case, Trudeau's Elections Canada Commissioner versus moi, Ezra Levant and Rebel News, over my book, The Libranos. Standing next to me is our crackerjack lawyer, Sarah Miller, who finished arguing. And I want to tell you before I go to Sarah, the room was quite a large room. I was the only person in the gallery. On the other side, there were 4 government lawyers altogether, plus 4 baby lawyers and baby clerks and little lawyers in training, judges in training, whatever. Every single person on the other side paid for by your tax dollars. Sort of a David and Goliath battle. Sarah, how do you think it went?
I think it went very well. The bench was certainly engaged in the discussion and engaged in the issues, and was really well prepared. So we had a really good engagement with the Federal Court of Appeal today, and hopefully we get good case law coming out of it.
And there were 2 main arguments that we made, if I was following you correctly. The first was when the government said there's an exemption for books as long as they would be published regardless of the election. That wasn't the actual legal test the Elections Commissioner applied. He said that I timed my book to coincide with the election, but everyone does that. And then the second objection, if I heard you right, was that, by the way, your election launch, so your book sales lawn sign can have other purposes too. You can be journalistic, you can be editorial, and other books do that too. Can you correct me if I didn't quite get your arguments right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So what we said was our submissions relied on the fact that coinciding with an election or planning around an election does not mean that a book was not otherwise going to be published regardless of the election. And the second point was related to, exactly as you've described it, the scope of what can be done with a book advertisement.
Yeah, you mentioned 2 other books published at the exact same time as the Libranos. Aaron Wary's book, he's a CBC government journalist, very loving book towards Trudeau, clearly pro-Trudeau, and I would never want his book banned. I would just say, why is mine banned and not his? You know, it's an uphill battle in these courts because they defer to the lower decision maker. They would say Elections Canada are experts in election law. We want to defer to them even if they get it wrong, as long as they're reasonable about it. We're going to let it pass. That's the standard of review, isn't it?
Yes, the standard of review is a reasonableness standard that has some deference built into it. The courts do have of course, the authority to review and consider whether or not that decision was reasonable, but there's a scope there. So instead of getting it right on the target, it can get it on the board.
You know, it's a tough battle. It's an uphill battle. Whenever you're in the Court of Appeal trying to overturn something, right from the outset, you're on the back foot. I was there today. I really enjoyed watching it. Thank you, Sarah, for putting your heart into it. And the absence of any book publishers or journalists or authors groups, you would think they would care about the de facto criminalization of a book. We heard about how Elections Canada was creeping my social media feeds. And I had talked about the elections. They were gathering information about what was in my mind I you know me, I make thousands of tweets. I don't know how many government bureaucrats were put on stalking my Twitter account, sort of gross. I just think that the reason no other book publishers care is because every book publisher in Canada gets massive subsidies from the federal government. They would not want to bite the hand that feeds them. I'm relying on you, my friends, to help me fight this fight, not just for myself. I mean, the Libranos, it's out there. They actually haven't taken it off the shelves. But we can't set the precedent of letting books and the promotion of books being banned because some bureaucrat thinks it's being mean to Trudeau. They literally talked about how the cover of the book looks like The Sopranos and it's really, really mean. I don't think that should be the standard for censorship. Go to thelibranos.com if you're in a position to help. We'll keep fighting because if we don't, who will? Talk to you later.